recreational use. And I really like going to the gym. I really wasn't expecting to. I've never been a gym person before college, but it's always fun to flex your 2-pound weights next to the football team and try not to get laughed at. I like to go at the busiest time, which is not popular for most, but I think it's fun to like meet new people in between your reps and things like that. And then next to the gym, we do have our Dolores Huerta room, so that's where LSU resides. LSU is our Latinx Student Union. And what's great at Pitzer is that all of our affinity groups actually have specific spaces that they occupy. And in those spaces, we're meeting every week, and we're talking about what it's like to hold that identifier on our campus and the world around us. You definitely don't have to go to the meetings every week, but it's a really great space just to call your own on campus. APAC, so the Asian Affinity Group, actually has a kitchen in our room, so we can cook meals together, which is always a lot of fun as well. Unfortunately, I do not have a picture of upstairs, but upstairs is home to several more resources. So upstairs in the GSC, we do have our yoga and Pilates studio. What's really fun is you can actually learn how to teach those courses and get paid to do so. We also have our big Pitzer conference room upstairs, so students are welcome to rent that space out for free to host various events. Our most popular event is called Snacky Snack, and that's going to happen on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. That's when our Pitzer Activities Board will bring free food for our campus students to have, which is really nice. So we'll all stand on this stairwell right here with our reusable bowls and plates and forks and things like that. And there's always a lot of fun stuff. So they've done Trader Joe's snack, they've done Indian food, Mediterranean food. They did miracle berries. So if you know all those berries that you put in your mouth and it turns everything sweet, they did that one time, and they brought like lemons and limes and milk and all kinds of weird snacks to try. So it's definitely a lot of fun to engage in that as well. And then right here in the lower left-hand corner, I do have a picture of identity boards. That's the group I was just speaking about. This was our holiday card last year. Sorry, we sent it out to the whole community, which was a lot of fun too. But does anyone have any questions about sports or anything like that? No? Okay, so we can head upstairs and go onto the GSC patio. The GSC patio is home to several more resources. And so right here, behind all these windows, we do have the Shakedown Café. So this is one of 3 on-campus eateries that does not include the dining hall. And my favorite part about this space is that it's all student-run. The students are working at the cash register, they're doing all the meal prep, they're designing what the meals are going to look like in the menu, they're managing each other. You don't have to have any prior restaurant experience to work here, but I think it's a really awesome on-campus job to have. You do get paid to work here. It's a really nice community, and especially as a first year, if you're looking to make some new friends, I think a great way to do that is just to work at the cash register and then check people out. And as you check them out, you'll obviously get to put names to faces and things like that. Always nice. Here in the right-hand side of the page, you'll see an empty space, and that's where we have Shakedown Sounds, which is a bi-weekly talent show. Basically, students are welcome to come out on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. bi-weekly and just perform whatever they want. So it can be a song, a poem, a political rant, a comedy sketch, whatever it might be. We all gather here together to support each other. It's a nice homey vibe, which is great. And then behind this imaginary talent show, we do have our pool. So this is one of 2 pools across the consortium, or just for recreation. It's not heated, so it does get a little cold in the winter, but people like doing polar bear plunges and things like that. But it's definitely an awesome space to have. A lot of the students from the other 5Cs will come over and hang out with us by the pool. Identity Board actually had a pool party for all of our groups to meet each other, and we got to play music from our various cultures, which was a lot of fun. So this is a very heavily used space on campus as well. And so this is an inside picture of the Shakedown Café. It's a great meal alternative if you don't feel like going to the dining hall for a meal. And then this is the pool. So surrounding the pool, we do have our freshman housing. So at Pitzer, all of our first years will be living together in your first year of college. So you're going to live in one of 4 buildings. 3 of them are around the pool, and one's a little off to the side. But it's very special at Pitzer that all students or freshmen who will live together, just because you have to know your grade really well. My grade's about 250 students. I definitely can say after freshman year, I know everyone's name. I do not know everyone personally, but it's really nice to just not see people as strangers and more of as acquaintances, if you will. But that being said, after your freshman year, you're going to live with sophomores, juniors, and seniors all together, so you definitely get that experience too. So all these buildings are Gold LEED certified, so that means they're very environmentally sustainable. You can see that in a few ways. So one is our dual flush toilets in the bathrooms, as well as if you open the window or open the door for an extended period of time, the air conditioning will actually turn off to save energy as well. Additionally, as you can see, all of our dorms are outside, so my mom loves to call them like modern motel living, which I think is definitely accurate. But basically, you'll see all these catwalks here, and I use these catwalks to socialize all the time. Oftentimes I'll be walking on one and my friend will be walking on another, and we'll shout across the way and make dinner plans. I always wonder if everyone else will hear us and come along for the ride, but it's definitely a nice communication tool as well. Since we are in the desert, the weather changes all the time, so my nerdy self just loves to just open the door and know what the temperature is outside without having to walk down to the bottom floor. And then additionally, we don't have any hall bathrooms on our campus either, so everything is suite style living. So if you see right here these beige blocks, each beige block is a bathroom, and the two orange doors on the sides of the beige block are the two dorms that will share the bathroom. So at Pitzer, you're never sharing a bathroom with more than 3 other people, which is really nice. I like this one because you don't have to walk down the hall in your bathrobe. And also you get 2 extra roommates. So you're going to have one roommate in one of these orange doors with you, but then the other orange door will have 2 other people who you'll, again, be sharing the bathroom with, so you can form community there as well. We do have RAs living on every floor, so those are upperclassmen students who are trained and hired to help you kind of transition into college, and they'll go over all the safety guidelines, things like that, and as well as hosting a lot of fun events for you, whether that be origami nights or going out to a meal together. They really want to help create that campus bond and hall bond with all of you through the various activities that they run as well. And then additionally, housing is guaranteed for all 4 years at Pitzer. And last year, about 87% of our student body lived on campus. The rest did live in off-campus apartments or houses, but it really just kind of depends on the person and what you want. Being from New York City, I can't drive, so I really don't understand why I would move off-campus if I didn't have to. It's really nice just to have all your resources at your fingertips there. But again, works for some people, and that's totally fine as well. And speaking of resources, everything really is right there. So in this dorm complex, you're going to have tons of study rooms to study in. You're going to have a kitchen, and then we have laundry rooms as well. The study rooms also do have printers, so you really have everything right there, which is super convenient too. And so for your first year, you're welcome to actually choose a roommate if that's something you want to do. So if one of your friends from high school is also coming to Pitzer and you want to room with them, you can definitely just be roommates. That definitely isn't the popular option. Most people do random assigned roommates. So over the summer, you'll fill out a form and it will just ask you about your living habits and if you're messy or clean. They ask you a really great question of if you want to be best friends with your roommate or if you just want to kind of like be acquaintances, which is really important to me specifically, but they make sure to do a really thorough job throughout that, and then they'll pair you with a roommate. Additionally, if you do need a medical single for whatever reason, you can definitely work with them to make that happen, and you'll still be living in this facility. But does anyone have any questions about freshman housing? Okay, so now I'm going to show you into a real room. And a fun fact about this room was that it was actually my freshman dorm room, so I can give you a very detailed description of this space. This is a panorama picture, so it is just a rectangle, which will become a little bit more clear in future pictures. But as you can see, every room comes with 2 beds, 2 3-drawer dressers, 2 desk areas, and then 2 closet areas. So I think it's really nice for someone who has a lot of stuff. It definitely all fits. And all of the rooms look exactly the same, which is really nice. So when I toured, I was like, oh, I know how I'm going to set it up already, which is very calming for me. But you can really do whatever you want with this space. You're more than welcome to loft the beds and put your desk under the bed. You can bunk your beds with your roommates. I know of one suite that actually put all 4 beds in one room and then made the other room into a living room, so you can get pretty creative there. But my side was a side with all the pictures and the lights and things like that. And a fun thing I did in my room was I took Polaroid pictures of all the new people who would come in my room and have them sign it and put the date that I met them on it. On the picture, and then I put them up on my wall to kind of form community in that way. And then at the end of the semester, end of the year, I gave them all back to them to see how they've grown and things like that, which is fun. I did keep a few, so maybe I'll give them back senior year, and it can be a funny little joke, but it's definitely nice to do what you want with the space. And then all of our Pitzer students' favorite aspects of our dorm lives are our hatch-style doors. So if you see on the left-hand side of this page, the half of the door is missing, and that's just because it's open. So all of our doors are broken in half, so you can open the top half of the door while the bottom half stays shut. This is called a hatch-style door. And it's just a really great tool on our campus to make friends. Like a lot of times I would be sitting in this dorm room at my desk doing homework and playing music on my speaker. And I would hope someone would like my music and come in and say hi. I definitely said hi. I don't know if they like my music, but it definitely is a very effective way to make friends, especially during the holidays. A lot of people like bake cookies and brownies and do like trick-or-treating, and everyone stands at their hatch door to say hi to the people walking by, which is always a lot of fun too. Additionally, as you can see, there's a microwave and fridge here. These were both my roommates, so I've never had a microwave or fridge at Pitzer, and that hasn't been a problem for me at all. But we do have an awesome program called Re-Room, so that's when all of our seniors will donate all of their old dorm supplies to our freshmen, and then freshmen can buy it for a very reduced price, which is awesome. So you can get a fridge or a microwave for like $15 to $20, if not less, which is really awesome as well. And then these are some more pictures of dorms to show you how you can customize the space. And so this is what the dorm setup will look like. So as you can see, you have 2 more rectangular rooms, and then the bathroom in between is the one you'll share. And so it's really easy for all 4 people to be in this bathroom at the same time and not feel like you're crowding over each other. There are 2 sinks right here, and then on the other side, parallel to the sinks, you're going to have a separate room for your for your toilet, and then a separate area for your shower. So everything's really spread out nicely for easy access for everyone. But does anyone have any more questions about dorm life? No? Okay. So on our virtual walk to upperclassmen housing, I'd like to talk about campus safety. So we are an open campus, so people are welcome to come in from the various communities and our surrounding community and walk around, but that's not a problem at all. We do have the blue light system, so that's just a safety precaution, where we have 21 blue lights spread across Pitzer's campus, and the rule is that whenever you're at a blue light, you should always be able to see another one. So if you feel unsafe for any reason, you're more than welcome to just press the red button on the blue light, and campus security will be there to help you right away. I've never seen the blue light been used or have used it myself, but I think it's great just to have just in case. And Camp Sec at Pitzer is extremely friendly. We share it throughout the consortium, and they all drive around on golf carts, which I think is the coolest thing because we really can't do that, obviously, in New York City. And I love to tell a story of one time my friends and I were walking to lunch, and one of them stopped us on his golf cart and was asking us what our names were and why we liked Pitzer and what grades we were in and things like that. And we asked him why he was so curious, and he said he really just wanted to get to know the student body on our campus, not be seen as like a weird person lurking in the background, but really a part of the community, which I really appreciated. And now whenever I see him, we always wave to each other and catch up. So I think it's really nice that they are really active members in our community too. And then right here we have the demo kitchen. So freshman housing also has a kitchen that looks very similar to this. This one is just an upperclassman housing, but it is open to everyone. And so this is a kitchen that's open 24/7. Definitely isn't like a meal replacement in that we have a very strong dining hall culture on campus. But if you want to just like cook a fun meal with your friends, this is definitely the place to do so. Some classes that are surrounded or around food, the topic of food, will come and make some meals here, which is a lot of fun. As an orientation adventure leader, I did come here to make fondue for my group one night, so I melted chocolate in the microwave, and then I got like potato chips and apples and strawberries, things like that, and we had a fondue night for us, which was a lot of fun. Gingerbread house making obviously is super popular, so it's really nice to just have this space, and a lot of people tend to use it at the same time, so it's a nice social gathering space as well. Then right here we have upperclassmen housing. So sophomores, juniors, and seniors will live in one of 4 buildings. These are 3 of them, and then one is called Mead, which we'll see a little later on our tour, but it's a lot bigger. And so these 3 buildings are called West, East, and Scandera Hall, and they were built soon after freshman housing, so they look almost identical, but they have some additional amenities and resources. And so all these buildings right here are actually Platinum LEED certified, so they're a little bit more environmentally sustainable than our freshman housing. You can see that through our solar panels on the roofs, as well as we have green roofs with grassy areas, and we have the gray water system. So that's basically a system that will trap all of the immense rainwater we get from the desert, as well as all of the bathroom water, and then it's going to recycle it and redistribute it on our plant life on campus, just to be really conscious of our water conservation and recycling. Additionally, all of these buildings have 4 single suites, so each floor has 1 suite that has 4 singles in it. And so mostly people with medical accommodations will live in those suites, but sometimes if you get lucky as a junior or senior, you can cop one of them, which is really great. Last year as a sophomore, I did apply for a medical single, and I did get one, so this picture in the upper right-hand corner is from my single. I really loved it. I got to see the sunrise every morning, and I really didn't know the sunrise could look so nice, but that's a picture of what I got to wake up to every morning, which was always a lot of fun. Additionally, there are about 14 study rooms in this one area, and then there's plenty of study rooms throughout our campus as well. But I do have learning differences, so it was really important for me to find a space where I could spend a lot of time in and get a lot of work done and not feel too isolated from the community, and I think our study rooms really allow for that, because as you can see, these like rectangular kind of striped boxes on the sides of the dorm are actually the study room. So one wall is completely windows, so you really get to see the outside and get some nice sunlight, things like that. And I love sitting there and like waving to my friends when they go to class and things like that. And one time my friend and I, Erin, were sitting in one of these study rooms and we saw like a random guy just walking on one of the catwalks. We thought it'd be funny to just wave at him. And he didn't really know who we were, but we waved at him. And he kept like looking behind him to see if we were talking to someone else. And then he realized we were talking to him, so he waved back. And then throughout the week, since we are a very small campus, we kept seeing him from like a distance, so we just kept waving. And then at the end of the week, we actually saw him in the dining hall. So we walked up to him and we're like, hey, like we're the people who keep waving at you. We just want to make a new friend, get to know people. He thought that was really funny, and we all became friends after that. So things like that happen at Pitzer all the time. It's definitely like not like the New York City cold culture that you'll find. Instead, everyone's just super caring and wants to get to know you as a person too, which is awesome. But do you have any more questions about dorm life? Okay, so I can head into Scandera Hall. So Scandera is really neat in that not only is it a dorm, but it's also an academic building. So the first floor are all academic classrooms, and the next 3 floors will be dorms. So if you do live in Scandera, it's really nice. You can literally get to class in 2 minutes. You just take the stairs down or the elevator, and you'll be in your classroom. But if we were all on Pitzer's campus, I'd definitely take you into this classroom on the right-hand side of the page, but instead we can all virtually teleport in there. And I'll give my academic spiel of the tour. But as you can see, we do have Harkness-style discussion tables in Scandera, and this is really to promote the discussion-based learning we do have at Pitzer, where everyone's looking at each other instead of at a professor who's standing up. I think this is really important for our campus, and it really reminds me of just like a family dinner table and all coming together with your various backgrounds and stories and really just having a space to express them, which is really nice. So yeah, that's a great part about Pitzer too. But now I'll go into my academic spiel of the tour. I'm going to be covering 4 main aspects of academics, and then obviously if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me or ask them at the end. But I'm going to start by talking about majors and minors at Pitzer. Then I'm going to move into graduation requirements, and then I'll go into picking classes at the other consortium colleges, and I'll end with a freshman academic transition into college. So starting off with majors and minors at Pitzer. At Pitzer, we do have 40 majors and 20 minors. You don't actually have to declare your major until the middle of your junior year, so you really have time to figure out what you want to do. You can even like declare a major your freshman year and switch it if you want, so nothing's really locked into place until the middle of your junior year. That being said, I actually finished my major this semester, so I get to do a lot of fun classes going forward. So it really just depends on what trajectory you're looking for. Additionally, you're welcome to combine majors. So you can do 2 majors and combine them to lead to fewer requirements, or you can just do a double major. You can also do a major and a minor like me, or you can just major, so it's really up to you. And so at Pitzer, if you don't see any major you're interested in out of our 40, you can actually look at all of the majors throughout the consortium. And if one of the other colleges has a major that we don't offer, you're more than welcome to actually major at that college in that major. You're still going to graduate with a degree from Pitzer, but you're just going to take a lot of your classes at one of the other colleges. So some examples of that include geology at Pomona, legal studies at Scripps. There are some others to choose from as well. And the only exception to that is our CS program at Harvey-Mudd. Harvey-Mudd has very few majors, so they make sure that all of their students obviously can major in CS if they want to. So that's not an option for us, but you're more than welcome to take CS classes at Harvey-Mudd if that's something you want as well. And then if none of that works for you, you actually can create your own major. So it's very specific to Pitzer, but you can actually work with faculty members to design a major you really want to see, and then you can graduate with that major. So lots of flexibility there. Again, we really want to make sure you're studying something you're passionate about, and so you have all these avenues to definitely do so. And then aside from your major and minor requirements at Pitzer, you do have several graduation requirements that everyone has to fulfill. So most of those are pretty standard, but then there are 4 unique courses that you'll be taking. So I'll go a little bit more in depth to those. But some of the standard ones just include 2 humanities courses, 2 social science courses, 1 math course, 1 science course, 1 writing intensive course, and then the 4 special classes. So those are called intercultural, global, and local, and social justice praxis and theory. So intercultural, global, and local are tied to our core value of intercultural understanding, where you're obviously looking at both intercultural understanding on a U.S. level as well as an international level. And so I like to really highlight some of the local classes I've taken. You actually will probably end up taking quite a few of these 4 special classes as you go through Pitzer, just because they're really easy and fun to take and get into, which is really awesome. But last year, I took a local class called Race and Ethnic Relations. So I was looking into race and ethnicity in the United States. And that class was only about 12 students. Our faculty ratio is 10 to 1, and our average class size is about 15 students. So you're always going to get those really small classes. But one project we had to do was we all had to present or lead a discussion for the whole class period. So that's a 75-minute block. And at first I was a little nervous because I was like, oh, what am I going to talk about for 75 minutes? But I decided to break my class up into a discussion portion and then an activity portion. And so my class was looking at race as a performance, so the ways in which we have to perform our racial identity to either assimilate, stand out, fit in, things like that. So we had several readings we had to do for that day. And so for the discussion portion of the class, I decided to do a Skittle discussion. So I gave everyone 5 Skittles, one of each color. And each color had a code. So red was a question, yellow was a personal statement or personal connection, orange was a quote, and then green and purple were answers to questions. And the only way you could participate in the discussion was by using your Skittles. And so that meant that the people who talk all the time had to step back a little bit, and the people who maybe don't talk as much got a chance to step forward. And with that, I did provide everyone questions that I'd come up with as well as quotes from the reading that I found interesting. But it was a really nice simulation experience to see what it's like to have to follow all of these rules and regulations within a discussion and how that can kind of parallel to the rules and regulations that people can face racially as well. Obviously, not the same thing, but an interesting activity. And then after that, I did an activity portion. So I decided to do an emotions activity where I gave everyone a positive and negative emotion, like happy and sad. For 2 minutes, they had to be actively expressing one of those emotions and suppressing the other. And after the 2 minutes, they switched. And so during these 2-minute increments, they could talk to anyone in the class about whatever they wanted, whether it was how their weekend was or what their favorite ice cream flavor is. The whole idea was that they were acting the whole time. Because let's say you had to express that you were mad, but you had a great weekend and someone asked you about it, you just have to say like it was terrible. So that was just another kind of acting activity to show how people often have to act or hide part of themselves when in certain racialized situations as well. So that's just a typical example of what a local class can look like. I really like to stress how much power students have in the classroom to make it a class they really want to see and really have a voice, and it's certainly not a lecture. And then in terms of intercultural global, that can be anything from Chicana studies to Africana studies, Asian American studies, etc. Personally, I took a class called Authoritarian Institutions, so we were looking at authoritarian institutions around the globe. That was an awesome class. I did my final paper on how kind of authoritarianism ideals have kind of helped me in quarantine, which was an odd twist, but it was a really interesting paper to write. So you're definitely not going to get just like intro lectures with that either. And then in terms of social justice praxis and theory, so that's connected to our core value of social responsibility. And so your theory class is going to be taken in a classroom, just learning about the theory of some subject matter. And then your praxis class is where you engage with our community partners. So you're going off campus and you're engaging in about or over 40 hours of community engagement. And you're kind of like applying your theory to the outside world. And so I like to describe what I'm doing just as an example for everyone, but I took an organizational theory class my sophomore year, and then I'm planning on taking an Inside Out class next year, which will be my praxis course also in org studies. And so Inside Out is a really awesome program we have at Pitzer where you get to take classes in a prison. So you go to a local prison, you get to take classes with people in prison, and by no means are you teaching them. You're just there to learn in the space together. And there's a Pitzer faculty member who will actually be in that space with you, obviously teaching you. And the people in the prison actually do get college credit for taking that course, which is great. And so we offer Inside Out courses across the various majors. So you can find one that works for you. But I'm planning on doing one for org studies next year specifically. But those are all of our academic requirements. And then moving into taking classes at the other colleges. So we are the only intentional consortium in the United States, and you're really going to see that especially in our academics. So all of our registration is the same. So all of our finals and midterms will line up exactly. When you're registering for classes at Pitzer, you're going to see all of the classes for the whole consortium. So you're going to see Pomona classes, CMC classes, Mudd classes, etc. And you're welcome to join any of them. And some of them do have restrictions, so CMC only, Mudd only, things like that. But if you just email the professor and really express your interest, you can definitely still get into those classes. And so at Pitzer and throughout the consortium, all of your classes are super diverse, not only in grade level, but also in college. So you're never going to really be in a class with all Pitzer students or all seniors, all juniors, etc. Just to give you a sense of what that will be like as well. And then on average, we take about a third of our classes at one of the other consortium colleges throughout the year. Again, it's really up to you. I've never actually taken a class at CMC until next semester, but if I wanted to do that freshman year, I could have definitely done that as well. And then moving on into the freshman transition into college, I think Pitzer does a really great job of making sure all of our first years feel super comfortable coming into college, and we do that through two main ways. One is our FYS program, and the other one is called our Academic Guide program. So FYS stands for First Year Seminar, and it's the first class you're going to be taking during your first semester of college. It's the only class you'll ever take that's all first years and all Pitzer students. And so that's just to get you introduced to college-level writing, so you definitely don't have to take anything that correlates to your major whatsoever. Honestly, I suggest you just take a random class that you don't really know anything about, because why not? And so I took a class called What is the Scientific Method and Theory. So I looked into scientific discoveries over time and how the biases and identifiers of the various scientists skewed the data, which was super cool. We have a lot of other ones to choose from. Some are called one's called Deconstructing Disney, so you're watching Disney films and you're tracking the body dysmorphia and sexism and racism in the films and writing papers. We also have FYSs surrounding soccer, cricket, surfing, and so in all of those you're learning about the history of those various sports, and then you're actually going with your professors and doing them, so you can go surfing with your professor if that's something you're interested in. But there are plenty of fun options to choose from for your first year. And then that professor in that class is your first academic advisor on campus. So they're the ones that are going to be helping you really carve your path at Pitzer and decide what classes you want to take, things like that. And once you decide what you want to major in, you definitely can either drop that advisor or just add another one. It's really up to you. But I think it's really nice that you get all of that academic support right off the bat. And then with our academic guide program, those are basically RAs, but just for classes. So basically those are upperclassmen students who are assigned to each FYS, and they're really just there to help you transition both socially and academically, so they can read over your papers, they can help you study for tests, things like that. A lot of them have already had your professor before, so they know how your professor works, which is awesome. I really like to stress that in these, if you look at this Harkness table right here, you're going to have students from public school, private school, international students, homeschooled students, etc. And then you're all being asked to come together and discuss. And obviously you probably have different methods of doing so, so your academic guide is really there also to help you with that transition socially too. But does anyone have any questions about academics? No? Okay. So we can keep going to our study abroad office, which is right next to this classroom actually. And so at Pitzer, about 53% of our student body will study abroad sometime during their 4 years at Pitzer. The maximum number of times you can study abroad is 3, so you can do 2 semesters in 1 summer program, and you don't have to do them all in order. You can mix them all up, do them different years, things like that. And your financial aid will carry over to your study abroad experience, and we do provide stipends from your flight from LAX to whatever country you're going to. And so at Pitzer, we have 2 main programs for study abroad. We have our direct run programs and our indirect run programs. So direct run programs are Pitzer-based programs where you're going with a group of Pitzer students to another country, and we have professors who live in that country who will be teaching you. So it's really like you're just picking Pitzer up and bringing it with you somewhere else. There are 8 countries that are a part of that program, and all those 8 countries will be your base countries, but you can still visit the countries surrounding that country. In those situations, you'll also be staying in homestays to help with the immersion experience and taking language classes in the country to also help with the immersion experience. But some of those include Costa Rica, Italy, Vietnam, Nepal, different places in Africa, so there are definitely options for you. But if you're not interested in one of those 8 options, that's perfectly fine. You can do one of our over 60 indirect programs. So our indirect program is basically what you would think a study abroad experience is like, where you're just going to another country and going to a university there and taking classes there and living in their dorms, things like that. And if we have something, or if you want to do something that hasn't been approved yet, it would be under the indirect category, and you can work with the study abroad office to approve that for your study abroad experience if that's something you wanted. We also offer domestic run programs, so if you don't want to go out of the country, that's completely fine. We do several exchanges with Sarah Lawrence and Bard in New York, as well as an internship program in Washington, D.C., so you'll definitely find something that works for you. And personally, I didn't want to go abroad for a whole semester, which definitely isn't common. I've just traveled a lot growing up, so I really wanted to be stationary for a little bit. But I did want to take some sort of study abroad option while I was at Pitzer, so I worked with the office to actually help me study abroad this summer after my freshman year. So I was able to study abroad for just 3 weeks, which was perfect for me, and I took an urban environmental sustainability class, which was a lot of fun in Copenhagen. So you can definitely do something that works for you. But does anyone have any questions about study abroad? Okay. So we can continue on. So I don't have a picture of this, but in Scandera, we also have Student Senate. So Student Senate meets weekly on Sundays in a giant room with like a boardroom kind of table. And so basically, Pitzer students are one of the most active student bodies in the nation, and the biggest way you're going to see that is through our Student Senate. We have about 50 people in our Student Senate. We're going to have one president, several vice presidents, and then tons of committees. So we'll have the Academic Planning Committee, the Curriculum Committee, the Academic Standards Committee, the Campus Aesthetics Committee, etc. And so these committees are actually comprised of students, staff, and faculty, and you're meeting weekly in your committees, and you also all have voting rights in those committees. But then the students of those committees are the ones who show up to Senate and kind of provide that liaison between the various committees and Student Senate. So that's what we do there every Sunday. It's a lot of fun. The biggest contingent is definitely sophomores every year, so you definitely don't have to be a senior to get involved, and it's really fun just to have as many voices heard in that space as possible. I also don't have a picture of this, but Connie's office is right here as well. So Connie is our academic coach on campus. So if you've had a learning specialist in high school, she's very similar to that. I personally meet with her weekly for about 15 minutes, and even over Zoom, I've been able to do that still, which has been great. But I like to meet with her on Fridays just so I can plan out my homework schedule with her. But if you have learning disabilities, she's really helpful. Even if you don't, she's still extremely helpful. Since I do have extra time on my tests, I take all of my tests in a room by myself with a noise machine right next to her office. So I've never taken a test in a room with other students, which has been really helpful for me too. And then right over here we have the Green Bike Program. So this is also known as the GBP. And this is a student-run program on campus where, as you can see, they're fixing up bikes. And so if your bike breaks for whatever reason, you're more than welcome to come over here and they'll fix it for you. And then if you don't want to lug your bike from wherever you're coming from, you're more than welcome to actually enter our bike raffle where you can get a bike for free for the semester, which is also a lot of fun. We are a very wheel-friendly college. You're going to constantly be seeing people on bikes, scooters, skateboards, longboards, etc. I actually don't know how to ride a bike, so I honestly don't come here very often, but I do have a scooter that I like to use a lot. As you can imagine, Copenhagen was a little challenging for me. We did have a mandatory bike trip, and I did not know how to tell my professor that I couldn't go, but I just told him I didn't know how to ride a bike, and he rented us a Christiana bike, which is a bike with a basket in the front, and then he made me sit in the basket, and he rode me around Copenhagen, which, as you can tell, wasn't embarrassing at all, but really funny. Could have come to a Learn to Bike Night program here. Didn't know why I didn't do that, but this is definitely a great resource on our campus, too. And so if we walk this way, we're going to see Mead. So this is the last dorm I was talking about, and mostly juniors and seniors will be living in this space just because they're more of apartment style living. So if you do have a friend group you want to live with your junior and senior year, you can definitely live here because all of the suites are 6 to 8 people. And in those suites, there will be a mixture of singles and doubles, and then a shared living room and shared bathroom areas for you guys. So if that's something you want, it's definitely a great option. Even though this building does look different from our other housing options, they still have all the same amenities. So they're going to have the air conditioning, the kitchen, study rooms, etc. So great place to live as well. As you can see, tons of murals are all splattered across Mead, which is always really pretty to walk through. But this picture right here on the left-hand side is actually called our free wall. So this is the one uncensored space on campus where students can write whatever they want, whenever they want. So I think it's a really beautiful example of freedom of expression and speech that we have on our campus. I really like to call it my ever-changing news station because you're constantly seeing different things about current events and social justice issues that people care about. So it's a really nice way to keep informed and kind of aware of what's going on in the world around us. And then across from Mead, we do have our garden and chicken coop. The chicken coop is definitely my least favorite part of campus just because I'm terrified of birds, but most people really enjoy this space. So we do have a chicken coop with several chickens. All the eggs from the chicken coop do go to our on-campus eateries to keep everything nice and local. You can actually walk the chickens if you're interested. We do have leashes that will not hurt them. You can walk them around the coop. Again, not something I would ever want to do, but some people like it. One time when I was walking to class, I saw a guy in there with his backpack on, and he was talking to the chickens and giving them words of encouragement, like "you're beautiful" and "keep being you," things like that. And I thought it was so funny and very Pitzer. So they're definitely really active members of our community and loud in the morning as well. We also have a garden right next to the chicken coop, so if you want to participate in the garden club, you're more than welcome to do so. We also have garden power hour that happens twice a week where you can help plant the different vegetables and fruits or harvest them. And then all of them will also go to our on-campus eateries as well. And then above the garden, we do have our Grove House. So a fun fact about this house is that it's definitely the oldest building we have on campus. And we actually got this house for $1. So we're very close to the Claremont Village, which is the town right outside of Pomona College that a lot of students like to hang out in. Basically, this building was being sold at an auction, and Pitzer students were the only ones who showed up for that auction. So we were able to score this house for $1, which is pretty cool. And then the students really couldn't figure out how to bring it back to campus, so they actually cut it in half and then brought it back on trucks. And then with an architect, they put it back together, and now it's a fully functioning house, which is awesome. And a lot of things go on in here. So we do have the Grove House Cafe, so that's just another student-run eatery that you're welcome to work at and get paid to work at. We also have Pitzer Advocates for Sexual Assault, so if you need any help, they're always there to help you and host daily office hours. We also have our knitting club in here, as well as Libel, which is called Live Your Best Life. This is our on-campus record label, and so if you want to get involved here, they do a lot of performances, as you can see, on the weekends as well. Then next to the Grove House, we do have our outdoor classroom. So obviously, almost every day is nice in California, in Southern California, so we definitely take advantage of the space and have a lot of our classes outside. And then, as you can see, you've probably passed a lot of cacti and succulents on our campus. That's because about 75% of our campus is filled with drought-tolerant plants that are native to the area. The other 25% of our green space is right here, which is grass. And so this is where our gray water system really comes into play because it's being used to water all of this grass throughout the year. So right here we do have our mounds. So this is the biggest grassy area on campus, and they're just kind of like elevated little grass patches that people love to do homework at and just hang out at and have club meetings, things like that. And this is where freshman orientation really begins, so I'll go a little more in depth into that now. But basically all first years will come to campus about a week and a half early, and they're going to participate in an orientation program. That's going to start with a 4-day trip that can fall under 3 categories. It could be a local trip, a front country trip, or a back country trip. And each trip is about 16 students with 4 to 5 student leaders, so you're already getting a lot of upperclassmen friends and mentors when you first get to Pitzer. But I personally went on and led a local trip, and so that trip was called SoCal Local. So we stayed on campus at night so we could like shower and sleep in our own beds and things like that. Then during the day we would do off-campus excursions. So we went to Santa Monica and we did paddle boarding. We got to hike to a waterfall. We went to a botanical gardens, things like that, and we got to try a lot of cool restaurants in the area. There's also a trip called Histories of Activism, so you go into LA and learn about activism there. We have LA Arts and Food, so you're looking at that obviously. And then if you're more adventurous than any of us, you're more than welcome to do one of the front country or back country trips. So front country trips are usually beach camping, so you're camping on the beach with your group for 4 days. And then back country trips are more like hardcore camping and hiking. So one of them goes to Catalina Island, which is a small island right off the coast of California. And you'll actually go hiking and kayaking there. So if that's something you're interested in, you can definitely do that. So we have plenty of options to choose from. They're all really fun. This picture in the upper right-hand corner is my LA group from my freshman year. I'm still best friends with a lot of them, so you're just going to create those long-lasting relationships in that program as well. But does anyone have any questions about any of that? Yep. Okay. So we can head to our academic quad. And so right here is our academic quad. And so all of our academic costumes are here besides the ones in Scandera. It's really nice to have everything in one space. The academic quad also has our Pit Stop Cafe, so that's our 3rd on-campus eatery. This one is run by our dining hall staff, so you can get like different coffees, teas, scones here in the morning when you're going to class, things like that. And at Pitzer, we actually don't have any departments. Instead, we have field groups. So we don't have a psych department. We don't have like an econ department. Instead, we have these field groups, and each field group is comprised of different professors from different like what would be departments all in the same group. So in one field group, you could have a Spanish professor, an English professor, an econ professor, a Russian professor, whatever it would be. And in that, it really promotes interdisciplinary learning because you're seeing all these different disciplines interacting. All of their offices are actually next to each other, and they have meetings throughout the week just to keep each other updated on what their classes are looking like. And you can really see a lot of econ professors, specifically if you're in an econ field group with a sociology professor. And it's really nice to see how they use like real sociological examples in their econ work in their classes. So that's definitely something that's very prevalent on our campus as well. And then if we head into here, we'll see Scott Hall, and Scott Hall is home to several more resources on campus. So Scott Hall has our Office for Student Affairs, our Community Engagement Center, and our Career Services Center. So our Office for Student Affairs will help you with any type of student type need you might have. I personally go there for all the paperwork for my academic accommodations. The Community Engagement Center will help you with those 40 hours I was talking about earlier, but all of the community engagement you want to do on campus, you'll do through this office. And on average, Pitzer students and faculty will complete about 100,000 hours of community engagement a year. So this is something that's used a lot. And before anyone does any type of service work, you will have to go through an ethics training that's run by our school, and so that will ensure that you really understand that you're working with the people, not for the people. And then our last office is our Career Services office. So this is definitely my favorite office aside from the Office of Admissions, just because they're extremely helpful. They'll help you with resumes, cover letters, networking, things like that. We do have our own website called Handshake, so that's our own version of LinkedIn where you can look for jobs and internships on there. We also have our winter job shouting program, so that's where you can shout out a Pitzer alum or parent in your local area over winter break and really see how the Pitzer experience can turn into a career path for you. I'm actually doing that in a couple weeks, so I'm actually shadowing someone who works for Adidas in their corporate affairs part of their company, so that'll be a lot of fun as well. Sorry, my radiator just turned on. But there's lots of options there, and we also do have great relationships with the Career Services office at the other 5C schools. So if they're hosting like Google, let's say Harvey-Mudd's hosting Google, you can definitely come over there and go to some event that they have as well. And then right here we have reached our 5C lookout point. So here's where you can actually see all 5 colleges from this one point. So all of our 5 colleges exist within a 1 mile by 1 mile square. Again, we are the only intentional consortium in the United States, so it's really made that way. So you'll see kind of how easy it is to get from campus to campus. But across the road we do have Scripps. Up the road we have Harvey-Mudd. Down the road we have CMC, and we all kind of squinted to the left we would see Pomona's clock tower. So we don't have any kind of like bus system. You really can walk everywhere, which is really great. And all of our terrains look super different, so you'll definitely know when you're on someone else's campus. But I really like to stress that I never feel like a guest on anyone else's campus either. And since we are part of a consortium, again, we share a lot of resources. So one resource we do share is our Keck Science Center. So this is shared between Scripps, CMC, and Pitzer. So if you take any science class at Pitzer, you will be taking it in this building with a lot of Scripps and CMC students. So this building exists in the intersection on this map between Scripps, Pitzer, and Claremont McKenna. And I think it's really nice just to like diversify your classroom even more in a science way as well. And then in this purple area on the map, this is where all of our shared resources are for the consortium. And so there we'll have our library, our bookstore, our student health center, all of our different therapists, things like that. It's about, I like to say, like a 6-minute scooter ride away, so it's very close too. But this is a picture of our library. So I come to this library all the time, even though it's not directly on Pitzer's campus. It's one of the biggest libraries for a college on the West Coast. And it's comprised of these 2 buildings. Each building has 4 floors, and as you go up the floors, it gets quieter and quieter, so you have a nice place to study. If you want that ringing in your ear, you can definitely just go to the 4th floor and no one will be talking. We do have treadmill desks, which were a lot of fun to use and study and walk at the same time. You can also like rent out rooms for group projects for free. And in there they have like big projectors that you can project your various assignments on and things like that, so everyone can see it. So it's definitely taking a lot of the progressive teaching tools into effect in this building too. And on our virtual walk back to the dining hall, I do like to talk about student engagement on our campus. So at Pitzer we have about 50 clubs, but then throughout the consortium we have over 200 clubs. So that's one way you really can make friends with the other colleges, is just joining a 5C club. or you can just stick to Pitzer clubs. We have a lot of awesome clubs too, or do a combination of both. But in terms of 5C clubs, we do have an annual college fair event, or college club fair event, where all of our colleges will come together and we'll all advertise all of our clubs, and it's really funny to see people fight for members. I remember I was like looking at the archery club's poster for I guess a little too long, and they stopped me and they said that I would be perfect for archery club, and I didn't really understand why, but they gave me a whole speech about it and just really showed their passion for it. So I did end up signing up for archery club. Definitely don't go all the time, but it's nice to have another community on campus. So there's definitely plenty of ways to get involved as either a participant or a leader in one of these groups. And then at Pitzer, we also have something called Student Talk. So this is an online listserv where you're going to send an email and it will go to the entire student body. So if you lose your phone on campus, it's great. You just send an email and then you have over 1,000 people looking for your phone. But it's more so used for a lot of like community bonding. So it's been really nice to have that, especially in virtual college. But basically, like if you find an article that's interesting, you're more than welcome to post it on Student Talk. And then in the dining hall, people can come up to you and ask you about the article, which is always really cool. And just a really nice space to share like opinions or fun facts, things like that. But I love to talk about the time I joined a fantasy basketball league on Student Talk. I did not know anything about fantasy basketball, but some guy said he had some openings on his team, and if anyone wanted to join. So I said, sure, why not? I can meet 12 new people. So I signed up, and I did a lot of research on fantasy basketball. I ended up winning the league, which is really exciting. And now this year I'm doing 2 teams, which will be fun. But it's just nice to see what people are up to and what they're passionate about and make new friends there. So it's definitely something you should definitely consider, just like picking up other people's interests and seeing what happens along the way as well. And then right here we do have our dining hall. So at Pitzer and throughout the consortium, we do have 7 dining halls. Each college will have 1 dining hall, except for Pomona that has 3. Not just because Pomona is also home to Oldenburg, which is our language dining hall. And so that's where you can't speak English, but you speak another language. So languages aren't required at Pitzer to take, but a lot of people obviously do and even major in them. So if you take a language class at Pitzer, one of the consortium colleges, you will be required to probably go to 10 Oldenburg lunches and just practice your speaking skills there. And then if you speak like a different language at home, you're more than welcome to go there for lunch whenever you'd like. But it's really nice to have these 7 dining halls because you can eat at any one of them. We do have an app that will tell you kind of what each dining hall offers, so you can stay informed and never have to go in blind and know what you're eating, things like that. It's fun, especially your first year, to kind of like decide what you want to eat when and then create a nice like pattern. And now I go to like the same dining halls like every Monday night or Tuesday night, things like that. So it's nice to figure that out. We also have 17 on-campus eateries throughout the consortium, so those are very similar to the cafes I've showed you, and they have them throughout the consortium, and everyone is welcome to eat there as well. And so you can choose between a 16-meal plan and a 12-meal plan, just whatever works for you, but we definitely are a very dining hall conscious and popular school. So this is a picture of our dining hall. I really love our dining hall. We have like really giant tables in our dining hall, so you're kind of forced to eat with other people. It's pretty hard to just like eat with one other person. Someone always will end up like sitting with you. So I think it's a great way to make friends as well. And all of our food is really healthy. We have a lot of local produce and various meals that they prepare, so it's really easy to avoid the freshman 15 too. And if you're vegan, we have plenty of options for you as well. And then in terms of geography for everyone who doesn't live in California, we're about 35 miles from LA, so we're very close to the Metrolink, so it's a train that will take you directly into LA so you can explore the area. It's very similar to Amtrak, so it's totally manageable. At Pitzer, as a first year, you can't have a car, but then when you become an upperclassman, you can have a car. I still can't drive, and that hasn't been a problem for me. I definitely don't feel like stuck at all. I have enough friends who have cars who will take me places, as well as you can always Uber or Zipcar, things like that. We do have a group called POA, so that's our Pitzer Outdoor Adventure Program, and so Pitzer students are running different hiking trips, and both on the weekend and during the week to different locations, so you can engage in that. We have our annual pizza hike where you have to wear a funky costume like a cowboy suit or a banana suit, things like that, and then you all hike up to the top of the mountain near us, Mount Baldy, and you watch the sunset and you eat pizza together. We also have the chili hike where you hike a half marathon and make chili together, and then you can either sleep there or hike back. So there are plenty of fun options to choose from there as well. And then now we're in Holden Gardens, and when I toured Pitzer as a junior in college, I got to this location on my tour. I told my mom I could really see myself at Pitzer, and she started crying because she really didn't want me to move to California. That being said, like, we're still really close. We FaceTime all the time. I like to FaceTime her like on my way to class or things like that. And it literally feels like she's there, so totally fine there. But this has always been a special place to me. And to wrap up my tour, I really like to talk about why I chose Pitzer, and then again, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have throughout the tour if you had any. But basically, again, I was adopted from Vietnam, so identity has just played a really big role in my life, and I really love at Pitzer how you can choose your identity. It's not chosen for you. I think that has a lot to do since we are a very young college, and that people are constantly like changing the landscape and things like that. But I think at much bigger colleges who are a lot older, they just like kind of have a set expectation where you're like going to that college to become an XYZ student. And I think what's nice about Pitzer is that they don't really expect anything of you as except just to be like an active member of the community. So that's been really special for me, kind of like carve my own place at Pitzer. I also went to a very like rigorous and like demanding high school, and I think what's really nice about Pitzer is that you do have the rigorous academics, but you have plenty of time to figure out what you're passionate about and like learn how to live your life and like enjoy the little things and things like that, and how so like life is so much more than a test grade and things like that, and you're really going to learn that at Pitzer, whether that be like signing up for archery club one day and dropping it the next, or deciding you like heels classes or things like that. So there's time to really do everything. But that is my tour, so thank you for coming. My email is in the bottom left-hand side of the page, so you can feel free to email me there. But if you don't have any questions, you're free to go, or you can ask them now too.